Hey there. If you're looking to figure out how to use the new Paint Wars game mode mechanics and stuff in your own maps in Yeeps, then you'll be at the right place. In this video here, I'm just gonna be going over all the new how to incorporate the new elements along with just the Paint Wars game mode itself in your maps. Now, just behind you there, I'm not covering how to make a map. I already have a map prepared here, which I made just yesterday. And, well, this is just a basic layout of a map, I guess. Of course, it's going to be different for everyone. I would recommend that you start out with that you start off plain and simple by making a layout. Over here I have a rectangular symmetrical along the diagonal kind of map. I think it turned out pretty good, and I'm now gonna be turning this into something that can be used for Paint Wars. First step to making a map compatible with Paint Wars, first you're gonna need paintable blocks. So I'm gonna go into creative real quick. So for the game mode to work, you're gonna need paintable blocks, which if you go over to the new paint tech web, the paintball gun is gonna be your first thing to purchase, but then the 4 paintable blocks are just here. These are kind of the most important thing that you're gonna need in order to make the Paint Wars map work. Although the other important thing is just up here, which is going to be the Paint Wars game mode sign, which is going to put the logic in and actually make the game count what blocks are counted, or what blocks are painted, and then spit out a result on which team will win. Now these here are this here's the Paint Wars game mode sign. But alongside that, you're also going to need team definition signs, which will define your teams. So in this case, I've got 2 team definitions. I've got the purple one, that's considered lavender. And then we got the lime one here. These are the 2 teams, and these are the only 2 that are going to be considered in the game. Now for the canvas blocks, or whatever I called them earlier, I've already forgotten. What we're gonna do, because they're only because they're max sizes of 2x2 blocks, we're gonna manually go out and replace all of the white wood there, or at least that's what it is in my case. I'm gonna replace all the flooring with those canvas blocks. Now the canvas blocks, you can find them under the game mode category. You'll just have to scroll to the very bottom, and you'll find all of them there, along with other paint mode stuff if relevant. So in this case, I'm going to grab the 2x2 paintable canvas block, and I'm going to spread this all over the place. Now a tip here I would probably recommend using, if you have access to it, I would recommend using a copy paster for this. The copy paster, the zone copy paster I should mention, this will make placing your blocks a lot faster. I might have to take out a few blocks to actually make your selection. But afterwards, once I just copy this, then I can move over here, paste it in, works like a charm. It's just so much faster. If you're able to, I would largely recommend doing that. And that, well, yeah, now the entire map is covered with the canvas blocks. So now that that's done, technically the map is, well, yeah, technically the map's compatible. It's playable now, assuming there is already a way for players to join teams. But this also kind of assumes the players are just going to walk onto the field. It's not the... Well, just like this, it's less than conventional, which is why now we're going to add more stuff. First of all, teleporters for the players to be able to get onto the field, or onto the playing field without, or well, I guess just automatically whenever the game starts. So for making players teleport, it is rather simple. All you'll need is a recall teleporter. This here. This is a recall teleporter with 2 arrows pointing towards each other, I guess. Now, usually these just teleport anyone, but if you teleport them the color of a team, so in this case I'll paint it lime, and then anyone who is on the lime team when this is activated will be teleported here. Now we are going to want to wire this up to some logic, so for that you're also going to need some event senders and receivers. So, well, on this end it'll just be an event receiver. I will paint this event receiver lime as well, mostly just to mark the start of the game, which we'll get to in a second. So, well, just wire up the teleporter to it, which, well, you do have to keep in mind on this end of the event receiver, the prong is going out. Meanwhile, on the back of the teleporter, there is a hole here. Both of these are diamond shaped, so you would line up those holes so that the signal from the event receiver goes into the teleporter, calling all players of the lime team. Then I'll just make it a little pretty real quick. So then I'll just go ahead and do this on the other side. Which honestly, it's probably easier to just copy and paste it over. So now that I got it over here, I'll just repaint that. And the event on the inside is going to remain lime, or just the same color as the other one, because that'll still be for the game starting, which, well, we'll get to that right now. So if you come to the back of the game mode sign here, there are these 3 diamond outputs, or ports, however you want to call them. I'm just going to call them inputs and outputs from now on. So using this, we're going to grab the event the event sender, which is the opposite to the other end of the event receivers that we put down earlier. This one has a square on top. So on this as well, there is an input. So you're going to point this towards the output on there, and then just recolor it to the same color that we put those receivers to. So in this case, lime. Now, whenever the round starts, those 2 teleporters are going to teleport everyone from the respective teams to themselves. If you want to demonstrate that real quick, I will go over here and start the round, or start the game. And once I join a team, the game will start and I'll get teleported out. So if I join purple, like that, now I'm at the purple teleporter. So that means it's working, that's good. Now that we've got these teleporters down, we can move on to adding other stuff to the map. Notably things that players could pick up, such as these refill jars, or some healing items which I don't own, or even more weapons if you wish. You can put down anything you want. You could give, I don't know, you could give players water balloons for all I care. Or paint balloons, that's what they actually are, I'm pretty sure. Now to do that, you do need another item. I don't remember what I called this exactly, but over in the bottom left of the tech web here, there is an item spawner. This is how you're gonna add items that players can pick up. So for this, you'll just put them down. You can paint them however you want. And from there, you can just put anything in there. And now players can pick it up and it'll respawn. They can grab this as many times as they want, and they can use it as many times as they want, I guess. You can put this stuff all across the map, spread it out however you like. It's all up to you, really. So I'll also do that right now, actually. I would also recommend, just to be fair to the players, I would recommend that any items you put on one end of the map, you also keep it, or I guess you also keep it symmetrical, or like just keep both sides perfectly balanced to keep things fair. That's just my recommendation. Although, of course, that doesn't have to be followed. Alright, well, just then I spread out some items across the map. Honestly, would have done more if I owned more things, but that's kind of an alright spread for now. So now we can move on to the next stuff. First of all, if you're looking to time the dramatic countdown of the results board with the end of the round, well, it's a simple setup. Over here we have one of the newer blocks. The point of this block is that it triggers when there is a certain amount of seconds left in a round. And it'll be very useful for this, because first of all, it's going to work no matter what your round length is with the same configuration. So it's very simple. First of all, on the back there is an input port. What the input does is that, well, if it has something wired up to it and it is not receiving a signal, then it will hide the results. But then whenever it does receive a signal, it'll do that whole dramatic showing. So it'll calculate the scores, and then it'll do the drum roll as the scores come in throughout 5 seconds, throughout the span of 5 seconds. And now, if you want to trigger that at the end of a round, first, we'll place the new, just the round time block. Ideally, you would probably want to put this at 11 seconds, because then you can also, well, you'll have time to do more stuff, such as respawning the players in your lobby or wherever the results board is before showing the results. But in this case, I'm just going to move directly on to showing the results. So to show the results, you're going to want to grab an SR latch, which is this square with an arrow pointing out of it, which you can find over on the wiring tech web. Then you'll wire up your time for round ends block thingy. Then you'll set it to 8 seconds. But if you want to do more stuff whenever it's the end of a round, such as respawning players, you'll probably want to put a gap here, add a T-wire block, and then add accordingly, presumably using an event. But that's not what's going on in this case. Set that to 8 seconds. So then, whenever the round is reaching its end, the board here will show its results. Now, if you also want to add those countdown messages that, like 1 minute left, or the 3, 2, 1 game over that you see at the end of the game, then you're going to want the new full screen text broadcaster, which is found on the Game Mode Tech Web, just up here with the other text broadcasters. I don't actually own it, but it is still really simple. I'm going to use this other text broadcaster for that reference. Yeah, pretty simple stuff. You'll set this down. You can put it down side. Yeah, okay. You can put it down sideways as well if you want, it doesn't really matter. You just got to keep in mind that's the input port there. Then you'll just grab another one of the round ends blocks. Still no proper name for it. And then you'll want to set it accordingly. So in this case, see, I'll make this 1 minute left. So now it says 1 minute left, and based on how we set the other timer over there to 8 seconds, we'll just want to add a minute to that. So in this case, that will be 68 seconds. So now that I got 68 seconds in there, whenever there is 1 minute left in the round, this message will appear for everyone. And with that, you can just remake this a few times for if you want to do like a countdown at the end where it's where it said 3, 2, 1 at in the game mode. If you want, you can also recolor it, and I don't know if it's going to happen with this, but with the actual full screen text broadcaster, it should change the color of the text. Now the last thing I'd like to mention, this here is a block canvas block. Honestly, I still don't really know the names of these, but whenever this block receives power or receives a signal, it will lock all the canvases from being painted, which is good for stopping players from painting whenever you don't want them to, such as whenever there's the whole dramatic finish or a dramatic result showing on the board, which we already set up here. Now this is it's a simple addition, really. You can just add it on to the system that we made just a minute ago. I'll just move this back, set this to 8 seconds again. Then we can just place this here, and we'll place a T-wire just here. So this signal both locks the canvases and also shows the results at the same time. And, well, I mean, that's that. That's, well, I guess that's the wiring for locking canvases and showing the results at the same time. And now that's all I've got to show you. Now, do you remember, this is just how I did all this. Well, I mean, it's all up to you to make things however you want it to be. Whether it be, whether you want to make your map asymmetrical or have things just laid out in a different way. It can be anything, really. It's all up to your creativity, your mind, however you want it to go. And of course, that's not everything that came out in the update. I would largely recommend that you also check out the other stuff. Like there's a variable setter for how many canvases were painted by a team. That's a pretty useful thing. There's also the the paint dispenser, which fills up the paint for members of a team. So many other things. I largely recommend that you go check out everything that's new, and even mix in things like all sorts of game rules and stuff from other modes. Just have your fun with it. And yeah, that's all that I've got to share. If you got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, I guess. And that'll be all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.